she didn't want to do it anymore. It wasn't like she was pushed out. It wasn't like she had bad ratings. She just said, you know what? I don't want to do it anymore. Top of her game. And then she started going on this healing journey. Devi was out in the clubs. She might have got into a brawl or two, but we're not going to go there.
A brawl?
I have no
I don't
idea.
remember
Devi
that
knows
one.
what I'm talking about.
No idea what's
but-
happening.
What brawl was Devi Brown in? I don't remember that one.
It was none. It was this is a healing journey. So I want to
Her rebirth.
a rebirth. I want to go to for people that don't know, what made you say, you know what, this industry is not for me. I want to give this up. You were doing radio, you were doing in different markets, you just had a baby, and you just said it's not for me.
At the top of your game, how did you go from a woman in radio to just like, no, I'm done with it?
You know, I think, and it's not even, first of all, I just have to say, and y'all know this, like, to me, radio is one of the most incredible, sacred ways to broadcast, because like you're really in someone's head and body when you talk, right? Like they connect to you with their whole being. I've always found it to be like a sacred responsibility that makes you good at like everything else. I think I realized that my purpose was evolving. And I realized that a lot of the skills that I was amassing, like communication, connecting with people, building community, I just kept getting very, very clear direction from God that I was meant to do it differently and use it differently. And I felt like I personally was going through so much. Like while I was still on the radio for many years, I was like kind of secretly, quietly getting certifications and like meditation and breath work and spiritual psychology. Like it was a huge part of my off the air life. And I felt like, at least at that time, because I left the industry maybe almost 10 years ago, at that time, there was no blending of the two, you know, and I was having situations where I was wanting to have these deeper layered conversations, and you know, I was being told by the people I worked with, like, no one wants to hear that. Like, now we can't run that on the air. Like, ask more questions about dating, ask questions about beef, ask, you know, and for whatever reasons, it's like what I had to give and what I felt God wanted me to give, it was not valued at the time. And so instead of kind of like sitting in that and you know, just going with the zeitgeist, I was just like, okay, so it's time to leave. It's time to see what else I can be used for. How else does, you know, God want to use me? And it was interesting because there was like a breakthrough moment for me where Kendrick had come on my show. And I had known Kendrick for a long time, the very beginning of his career. So we would always have really powerful, beautiful conversations.
That was in Houston, right?
That was in Houston. He's brilliant. He's, you know, brilliant beyond belief. And we were talking about like depression on this episode, and we were talking about suicide ideation, and this was 2014. And people in my sphere didn't really see value in those questions or in the way that we were talking about things. So, you know, I was kind of asked like, hey, you can't share those parts of the interview on the radio. It's too long. It's too boring. Like, we need to get to the music. And so I ended up throwing it all on YouTube, and I got such a big response. Like, so many people were saying, oh my God, like, I've never heard anyone talk about that before, and that's how I feel. And then an editor from Vogue magazine reached out to me like a couple days later, and they're like, this is one of the best interviews we've seen. Like, we're doing a feature on him. And that was like that was such like a breakthrough moment for me. I was like, oh, okay, like if someone doesn't get it, or, you know, if you have this vision that isn't making sense to everyone right away, you just have to find your people. You just have to keep being your authentic self, and the people that are for you will find you. And that really gave me like, I was like, okay, I need to do something different. But I wanted to spend my life talking about wellness and healing and health and pain and grief and, you know, all the ways to transcend.